Alright, g'day everyone. Had a quick spare minute here to record the next video. So I take full advantage of the nice weather, got a bit of sunlight finally, and the old tripod slash selfie stick. So today's video was requested by a viewer on the topic of balancing duty or personal duties and then service to others. So I think it's definitely a bit of a contention, I guess most visible in obviously time competition. Like if you're doing something for someone else, you can't do something that serves yourself or has to do with the responsibilities in front of you. So it's a great topic to discuss. I had 3 points that sort of came to mind when thinking about this. The first was that I guess your own personal commitments and virtue is in a way something that you do for others. Number 2 is finding forms of service that align with your duties and state in life, as well as your interests, I'd say. And number 3 is that at the end of the day, a lot of service is ultimately not fulfilling to yourself and sometimes might not even have very good physical rewards either. So those are the points we'll be covering. So number 1, in terms of your own personal commitments and duties, a lot of people miss this one, even though it's quite an obvious point in my view, and it's discussed in the Soul of the Apostolate. But basically what this priest argues is that there's so many people that focus so completely on exterior works and serving others that it comes at the sacrifice of their own personal life and their own interior life, which means that those works of service that they go out and do and are consumed or obsessed by actually end up being fruitless. So I guess more practically in our lives as men, for example, if you're neglecting your daily prayer and if you're neglecting your physical training, let's say for the sake of doing a youth group or serving at some kind of charitable hospital or something like that, sure, you might be achieving good in that regard, but it's actually coming at the, at the expense of things that are essential to your responsibility as a man. And we can also see this in the life of St. Teresa of Calcutta, where you could see in the way that she was ministering to those camps in India, was that they'd basically work for 8 hours a day and then they'd clock off and go and pray and do adoration for 2 hours. It was 2 hours a day was their rule of prayer. And apparently there was this bishop visiting India and he saw them walking out back to their house and he was walking to the hospital and he's like, "Where are you going? Isn't there heaps of sick people and dying people still in the hospital?" And they were like, "Yeah, there is, but we've got to pray." And that's a great example of doing as much as you can for in terms of your job and how much that allows, but also acknowledging the fact that ultimately you need to draw your strength and dependency on God, and that you need that inner life of virtue to then be able to go out and do stuff. And there's so many people that miss that first point. If you're consumed by parties and social events and service, well, at the end of the day, you're not even bringing your best self to the table. So take that time to work on yourself. That's not you being selfish. It's making sure you've actually got something to give. And I talk about this a lot in regards to dating. You know, there's guys who are jumping into relationships and wanting to start dating, and it's like, bro, you've got nothing to offer the girl at the moment. So just stick to yourself and work on yourself. That's a good and noble thing. So number 2 was, okay, well, let's say you've kind of struck a bit of a balance, I guess, in terms of figuring out what kind of service you want to do. I guess for me, it was quite an easy one. And I can use this analogy. An example from my own life was, obviously, I love the gym and I love to train and it's not that I love it, but it's important to treat the faith as a discipline. And, you know, we see St. Paul talk about running the good race and fighting the good fight and all the things like that. Well, I was able to kind of bring those ideas, obviously with the lads, Bede and Matt, to a form of ministry. And I guess trying to use that angle as an inroads to evangelization and ministry So for me, that was something that, like, I guess Fit for the Kingdom is rewarding in the sense that, like, I do enjoy doing it, but it's also something that requires to give extra of myself and my time and my money in various different projects. So that's kind of like a way for me to tick my service box or tick my evangelization box, but doing it through a channel which is probably more effective, because if it's something that I enjoy doing, it's more sustainable for me to do as opposed to doing something that I hate. So I think that's something for people to have a good think about, like, what are the things I'm interested in? What are the communities I'm involved in? How can I help contribute to something that I'm already inside? And number 3, another good example that I've had in my life recently is that at the end of the day, there's going to be forms of service and things that you do for other people that have no personal reward. And ultimately we see this in, like, martyrdom and the Passion of Christ. You know, he gave his life to people that did not appreciate it, did not understand it, had no idea of, you know, what it actually meant. But he still did that. He still went to his death on the cross, and so did all the martyrs. And in our own ways, it's kind of the situation that we are in here on earth, is that ultimately all of these good works that we do, we're not going to see the rewards while we're still alive on earth. You know, we will for some things, but for other things it's just going to be a grind. So I'm involved in an altar serving here at the local parish a lot, and one of the masses that I served was a requiem mass for, I think it was a grandma or a great-grandma of the family, and her sons were not practicing, but effectively it was a big family mass. And I was serving that mass, and you can tell straight away, based on how the people respond and their actions within the mass, whether or not they're practicing Catholics. You know, a lot of these people had no clue what was going on. They didn't know the prayers. When they come up and receive communion, they'll say thank you to the priest, or I'll have it on the hand, please. Like, just absolutely shocking. Like, it's just so obvious that these people have no idea what's in front of them. And I was serving that mass, obviously trying to be as reverent as possible, and obviously I do it for God and not for the people in front of me, but like, that was just the point for me where I was like, oh man. And it happens with school masses all the time. It's like, there's such this beautiful gift and sacrifice that's being offered on the altar, and these people are just coming here, and obviously it's a big part due to ignorance, but it's just really saddening for me. Like, the best masses and the best celebrations is when everyone's of the same mind and of the same heart. And when you have so much disunity there, and where people, like, just blatantly treat sacred things with disrespect, it hurts, and it's sad. And it's happened a lot, and it's probably going to happen a lot more in my life as well, and in other people. So I think that's something that you have to come to terms with, that when you do service, you're putting yourself out there, and there's a degree to which you can't expect a reward in any sense, whether it be a practical reward, you know, an inner consolation or anything like that. Some of it's just going to suck, and you're just going to have to do it for the sake of serving the other. So hopefully you enjoyed that. It's actually a bit hard to talk while walking. It was kind of uphill beforehand, so I was a bit short of breath, but keeping the training up. We've had some good gym sessions. We had St. Michael's boxing fitness event in Sydney just this weekend gone, which is awesome. So yeah, stay tuned for more content. I hope to record some reels and an extra few videos now. I'm getting married next weekend, so all of you keep me in your prayers, and yeah, stay tuned. God bless.